what those PHP developers are building, it's not necessarily wrong, but it's not according to the standards or how the WordPress at least wants its developer to use its platform.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I'm joined by Ronik Patel. He is the founder of Unlimited WP, which provides unlimited WordPress support and tasks for digital agencies at a fixed monthly cost. Ronik, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I love WordPress. I used to run an agency that was a WordPress shop. We're secretly talking about opening up WordPress hosting at HighLevel. We've got our WordPress plugin. We're big fans. And so I'm excited to talk to you. And I feel like as an agency, the idea of having somebody limited WordPress of support is very enticing. How are you able to pull this off? Tell me, first, take me back. How did this get started?
Well, the short answer would be years of hard work. And the long answer would be, we started out like any other agency that I work with right now, where we do about everything. Like, if you ask us to do Magento, well, yeah, we'll help you with Magento. We may not know a few things, but we'll learn overnight and we'll help you with it. I ran agency initial almost 5 years like that. Well, we'll help with anything. We'll work with our team, no systems, no processes. We'll figure it out, right? And then you look at your balance sheets at the end of the year and say, I didn't make much money this year or didn't make anything, and then no wonder why, right? And we joined this coaching program, got a mentor, started really learning about what other agencies are doing, what's working, what's not working. And this is about like 4 or 5 years ago that the first I heard, like, had to find your niche. You have to work within one market and miraculously you'll scale. That's what I thought, that, okay, let's find a niche, so it just happened to be, we like working with other agencies because we never, it's not that we don't like working with the clients. We just liked working with the agencies better than to work with direct with the client. So it's like, doing a white label work. So we're like, okay, let's try there first. If that doesn't work out, we may try other niche. The mentor at the time I was working with said that he tried 13 different niches before he found his. So I wasn't sure how many tries we would take. And I'm glad to say that after 4 or 5 years, we're still in that same niche. But initially, we didn't do it the way we are doing it right now. It was like, okay, we'll work with agencies and we'll help you with anything. And then over the time, we realized, like anything, we can't be expert at everything. So let's focus on something. Now, I've been a big fan of WordPress for a long time. So it was a little natural. And we were doing a lot of majority of the work on the WordPress anyway. So we thought, okay, let's kill all the other technology and we'll only take WordPress forward and only agency forward. So not like focusing on the specific industry, but also specific technology, because WordPress itself is so huge, right? There's the ecosystem is just getting larger and larger day by day. So I thought, like, there's no way that I could have systems and processes and train my team in a way where we could be expert at Drupal and Magento and Joomla and WordPress also. Then it was natural to select WordPress. But then we ran into this other sets of problem is, even though you have those, but you still got to do sales and proposals and stick to the scope and, issues with the hosting, things going out of scope, tracking hours, billing. That was still a very traditional agency model. And to be honest, we were fed up with it. I'm like, somebody's got to do something about this model. Even internally, we were growing, but like growing very slowly. And there were these issues. I'm like, okay, for me, it hasn't been about money, this business. It's always been about, let's figure out a model that we can scale where, ultimately to the client, we're delivering what we're promised on, like delivering even more. But at the same time, where something that I could manage, have fun running this agency and not be putting out fires every day, right? So it started out with this system. I don't know if you have heard EOS, a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. It talks about this system, and we started to implement that system, and we started realizing the holes in our, not holes, at the beginning, we realized there is no system. And once we started having systems, we realized the holes in it. And we did this vision traction, VTO type of quarterly boards. And one of the things that was keep popping up on the board was that we want to have reoccurring revenue. We want to have recurring revenue, right? Because nobody wants to every month find new clients. It doesn't matter how well your marketing work. As an owner, you're always afraid that what if it doesn't work next month, right? So we wanted reoccurring. So back in 2019, when we rebranded our name into Unlimited WP, we were 20% reoccurring and 80% was just the project work that you get month to month. And we made a 3-year goal to reverse that, to do 80% reoccurring. And then we started thinking like, how can we do this? And from those discussions, within 3 months, we led into this model of what is Unlimited WP now. Nobody was doing that model. We have sort of like mixed bunch of different ways you hire your subcontractors. We're like, okay, if you hire it on Upwork, this is the flexibility you get, right? If you hire your another agency to do, this is the flexibility you get. Or if you get a vetted developer, there are services who could get you a vetted WordPress developer, right? What are the pros and cons of that? And we're like, okay, let's make a list of all that. And if we try to combine with what we were doing, what can work, how can we scale? And that's where we came up with this model where it really helps the agencies as well as it help us. That's where this model was born a couple of years ago. And I'm glad to say since then, so 2019, around July time, so almost 2 years now, we are 100% reoccurring. So we didn't even need the 3 years. But I would say that the whole EOS and the vision exercise made us realize that if we want to do that, we have to change our model. So we don't do proposals or scope or time, like we don't do anything. The way we have structured our model is like you basically get a WordPress developer every single day for like 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours. In that increment, you get that help, and then we provide it to you. Yeah. So it's all reoccurring.
Nice.
Super excited with this model.
So you said a couple of things that I want to point out that I thought were great points. One is obviously recurring revenue. And that's why we rolled out SaaS mode recently. We're really trying to help agencies pivot to generate more recurring revenue through white labeled SaaS, as opposed to just relying on monthly service work, like you pointed out. The second was, I think it's important, you touched on something that I know to be true, which we found out, or I found out personally long ago when we were building our dev team, is that there's a really big difference between a true WordPress developer and a PHP developer who says, sure, I can work on WordPress, right? And I feel like when you go to Upwork or these places, Fiverr or whatever, you're going to find people in that mentality. Like, sure, I know PHP, I can help you with WordPress. And when you have a developer like that do something in WordPress and then it breaks or there's a problem and you have a WordPress developer come and look at it, they're like, what the heck is this? Like, why would anybody do it that way inside of WordPress? So I feel like if you're building WordPress sites for your clients, it's important that you work with people that are true WordPress developers, right? So I love the fact that you guys said, hey, we're not going to take Magento. We're not going to figure out Magento stuff anymore. We're not going to work on this or that. We're going to focus on WordPress and become experts at that specific ecosystem, which I think is really important. Now, talk to me about, like, I feel like the common question or hang up is, well, how could it be unlimited? What does that mean? Like, are you just my dev team now? Or like, and I think it's like, no. It's unlimited, but we have to prioritize things, right? So is that how it works? I submit, hey, here's a task. And then if I submit 2 more, you just go in order? Or talk to me about the flow of things.
I'll get into that, but I do have one more comment on what you said about, like, hiring a WordPress developer versus just hiring any developer. I think the root cause of that is the WordPress has been always marketed as a blog that you can even start, right? As a direct client, it doesn't take much to. So even in the developers community, there is always that notion that anybody can do WordPress, right? So there's no developer is never going to turn down a WordPress work, right? If they work on different platforms, they'll always say yes to WordPress. So I think that's one of the problems, and we'll get into. I'm not sure if you're getting into that, but like different ways of you build these websites, and there's just so many ways to build it. So what those PHP developers are building, it's not necessarily wrong, but it's not according to the standards or how the WordPress at least wants its developer to use its platform. So,
let's talk about that. Let's scrap that question that I asked you, because I think we'll get to it. But basically, there are a couple of ways to build a WordPress site, right? The first is you go to Theme Forest and you buy a theme. And it's like, oh, that looks awesome. My client loves it. Let's buy that theme. Let's upload it, and we'll just tweak it for them, right? The second is let's choose a builder. like Divi or something like that. And we build sites on Divi for our customers. And then the third would be just like custom building WordPress sites, which is so those three options are pretty different, right? And I feel like the first one sounds great because you see these beautiful looking sites on ThemeForest or whatever, but you very quickly run into walls when you try to customize them according to your client's wishes, right? So which of those paths do you like when you're working with an agency? Which one do you hope that they're doing with their clients?
I think the all three have their own pros and cons. It depends on what you're looking for. There are clients who are looking for a website tomorrow. Like, they want something done tomorrow. And then there are companies like I recently read Hertz, the rental car company. They spent $32 million on their website project, and it took 2 years to get completed or something. So, there are those case scenarios too. Like, how much are you getting into that process, or what you really hope to, what your client will get out of it, right? Like, if you have a client, let's say a pest control client that comes to you, they don't care about website, they just want an online presence, they have a very low budget. As an agency, you don't really have a lot of option. You'll try to pitch them different things that, hey, let's go through this our discovery process, let's learn about who's your target audience, or what are your future campaigns that you plan to run on your website, so we can incorporate all those things from the get-go as we build your website. Well, I'm not saying most pest control guys, but a lot of them would say, well, I don't know, that doesn't make sense, I'm too busy right now, just build me something, here's my budget, right? In those cases, it's not that the agency's fault, it's that agency, client, everything is like, you're saying, what's the fastest way to get there? And that's why the theme forest then becomes immediately that attractive option, that, hey, let's just get it now. That's the pros, that you could get it immediately, get started with the website. They're not all badly coded, however, a lot of them are. So that option really depends on who do you go with to get that ready-made theme that you're purchasing. So what we advise
I'm
is,
glad
like,
that you pointed that out, because a lot of them, the truth is, are really either badly coded or full of bloat, right? Full of so much code that's not needed, and things like that. And that's why I'm just going to interject here with my personal opinion. As an agency, if that's the type of client, they don't have a huge budget, they need something immediately, that's where I love our websites, HighLevel websites, because in my mind, don't ask the client anything. If you're dealing at that level of a budget, you just tell them, hey, here's the option. We've got a proven template. It's ready to go. And it will save you a lot of pain. I promise you that, because if you try to give creative control to a client with no budget, you are in for a long road. But
it's
talk to
back
me
and
about,
forth that
so
will never stop.
are you guys, what do you do when you run into a situation like that, where somebody's submitting task requests for a theme for a site that was poorly coded?
So we would still go ahead with it with a disclaimer and a warning to them. What we'll do is we'll quickly open up that theme forest page and check out their ratings and see what were the recent support tickets, because all that's a public information. Just click on their support tickets and just see how engaging the developers are to, any site, doesn't matter which platform or how you build it, is always going to run into issues, right? Like recently Instagram changed their something in their API that stopped some embeds if you had used certain plugins, right? So there's always, doesn't matter how you code it, you still have to maintain them. So you want to see who's behind that premium theme that you're about to purchase. If you find people, they have a lot of ratings, a lot of sales, if you see them engaging in the support forum, then go with them, because we've seen a lot of the problem is not only the code. If the bad code, you could still work with it, but at least if there's an original team behind that's still releasing updates and the security release, once that stops, and couple that with the bad code, now redesigning is your only option, right? So that
That's a
site would probably
great
get you
point to
6 months or
make.
a year.
And I was talking with somebody about this yesterday. WP Engine, for example, awesome company. They provide amazing support. They're WordPress hosting only, right? They actually don't allow you to run certain plugins.
Yep.
So that right there is an eye opener for a lot of young agencies that are starting to get into website projects. It's, hey, there's a lot of bad code out there. And if you are saying, oh, sure, we'll do that for you because your client found some plugin that they think is going to, be some magic tool for them, you could run into some serious problems, and it's going to cost you pain and money and time and all those types of things. So it's a great point. You want to be cognizant of who's behind that theme or that plugin, Are you going to be able to get support from them directly? If not, what's your plan? And so do you help agencies navigate those conversations of like, hey, this was built 10 years ago, it's no longer supported by the developer. You're going to have a conversation with your client about alternatives because making this work is just not going to happen.
Definitely, like we absolutely do, and all of our team is trained to. If it's a, let's say, theme forest theme, check it there. If it's a plugin, then go to WordPress.org, and same thing, you can check the reviews and things there. And like I'll tell you inside story, like we are also part of that problem. Like years ago, when like we were a bit younger than what we are doing right now, we did foolish things, as in saying to our team, like, "Hey, we want to see who can fastest like put their plugin onto .org, right, for their promotions or whatever." Or even hiring, we would challenge them to build something and put it on the WordPress.org, and they would put it because there will be some unique need that we saw on some client project. So we had an idea about it, and we asked somebody else to build a plugin just to see if that person is capable of that. So we used to hire like that. So we ourselves have asked people to put a lot of those plugins that I'm sure that they are not even looking after them, right? It may solve your problem with your client's problem, and you may think, oh, this is what exactly need, but like do check carefully when it was last updated. It may be 4 years ago. So those are the things you definitely want to avoid, and we would flag it. So we internally then keep a list of like a trusted plugins, trusted themes. If you tell us a scenario that I'm working with this type of client, then we would have like, okay, well, if you are going premium, then let's at least do like Avada or X theme or Enfold. Those are premium themes, but still the teams are like behind them. Those companies are getting acquired now, so they're doing some serious business. So those are the themes you want to go after, because some serious companies, those are somebody's businesses. It's not just a fun hobby project that someone has put out, right? So those are the products we would educate the agencies we work with to go on. This is considering all if you want to use those premium themes.
So let's talk about builders. What's your favorite builders to work with?
The favorite one, it's the right now, it's hard to say. Like we're liking this Oxygen builder. It's getting a lot of traction right now.
It's so funny. I was hoping you would say that because, well, I was curious if you would say that because I left our agency like 2 years ago now, and we were using Oxygen, and our dev team was like, "This is amazing. This is going to change everything," and they were so excited about it. So in the back of my mind, I was curious. I wonder if he'll mention Oxygen if it's still like leading the way.
It's so the most popular, if you ask me, it's Elementor. Like most of the work that at least we get, that it's on Elementor. But Oxygen is not for all the agencies. It does work very differently than any other page builder. I think they're trying to solve the problem that is with the other page builders. And if you notice in WordPress ecosystem, every 3-4 years there's a cycle. Like like you use a Visual Composer, and then Bakery, and Divi had its time, and then Beaver Builder, and now it's Elementor. And next could be like Breezy or Oxygen. And though I would add this, just this morning in our team Slack channel, there's some heavy debates going on that are we ready to push agencies towards Gutenberg or not? Because WordPress itself is pushing Gutenberg. A couple of years ago, when we were writing blogs about it, we ourselves were saying that wait it out, wait it out, wait it out. And like, okay, so is that a time now to say? And like literally this week, we are deciding that we're going to push agencies now go towards Gutenberg over the other plugins. We've built some recent sites, and with what Google is bringing up their web vitals from this month on, if your site doesn't have a good performance score, it's going to start impacting your SEO. So this is going to become a really serious thing. This morning we had a site that gets like a 98 score on those, and it was built using Gutenberg. It definitely seems like that it's getting there. So it would be a good time now. Anybody listening agencies, it is a good time now to start looking into Gutenberg now. It's not what it used to be a couple of years ago. There's so many third-party peoples that have created blocks and add-ons, and the whole ecosystem of Gutenberg, I would say now it's getting to the point where pretty much building any site, you could still build on it. Maybe few things still may not be possible on it, that you may have to custom code it or build your own custom blocks. That's why people don't build it, because nobody wants to invest on building custom blog. You're waiting for this theme authors, plugin authors to come up with some ready-made blogs. I think now there are enough blog. We just came up with this theme Bosky, and it's like 1,000 blocks. And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, this we could pretty much build anything with it. So I would say Gutenberg is like coming into that mix now. And WordPress clearly saw that the page builders is what people, because clients can use it, agencies are using. So they definitely wanted, like manage that, because with the page builders, every few years there's a different page builder. So I think this is their attempt to sort of like, okay, not mess around with page builders. We'll just have our own system that's more supportive of the rest of the mission that the WordPress has, the future it has, right? So I would say like taking some serious look to any agency owners now into Gutenberg on top of any other page builders. You would see that these page builders are also now publishing that, oh, we are compatible with Gutenberg, and we are discussing like, does it make sense that if you're compatible, then why would we use that and a Gutenberg?
Yeah.
Like, let's make it
Exactly.
simpler. So I think there's going to be some, even for Oxygen, everybody who's gotten so popular right now, I think they're going to have some serious challenges in next 2-3 years as Gutenberg gains its traction.
Interesting. So talk to me about, I mean, we don't have to go into the third option of custom coding your own themes and whatnot, but I think what people would probably most want to hear at this point is, how does it work? Do you guys have a platform that you built where basically I log in and I create a task or a request or something that needs to be done? And what does it really mean, unlimited? These common questions that you get.
Yes. So we do have our custom project management system where we onboard agencies, where they create projects and then the task for those projects. We do all the assigning internally. So, getting on the way earlier in the call, I talked about like we wanted to solve problems that the other ways of hiring WordPress developers, whatever the pros and cons, and we try to like mix all of them up. So to answer your question, unlimited, we didn't want it to be another unlimited service out there, right? There's just so many popping up there. In a couple of years, it's going to get a messy market. You wouldn't know where to go with. So we thought we'll be transparent. Like we would tell you upfront, then it's not unlimited. It is unlimited in terms of we don't care how many number of tasks you have. You have one small task or 5 or 10, doesn't matter what the task you have. Every day you're going to get like 2 hours, 4 hours, or 8 hours. And then you create your task. What we do, like let's say you can even hire a developer on Upwork, but the problem there is you're working direct. So you're an agency, you're working direct with the developer. So communication issues, or because the developers, their mindset is little different than how the project manager would think, right? They're more logical. They wouldn't get the point that you're trying to drive across. So that we saw clearly as a problem. We're like, no way we are pairing agency with the developers directly. We want to have some middle option there that sort of manages the both end, and we have project coordinators. So what we do is anyone who signs up on our platform, we give them a dedicated project coordinator, and that's the coordinator who wakes up and sees all the tasks and then finds the appropriate developer for those tasks. So we don't do where, oh, this is the fixed guy you'll work with. Doesn't matter if you have something front end or back end PHP, we'll just assign this. No, depending on your task, that project coordinator will find the best suitable person. So we don't do like, oh, here's your developer, work with it. You're still hiring an agency, though you're getting those fixed time every day. So you don't have to worry about scope or going out of scope or what's the proposal on this, or you don't have to come and say, hey, this site is broken, can you fix for it? What's the estimate? Now the truth is we don't even know what the estimate is when stuff is broken, right? We have to go in there, spend some time to figure that out, and we wanted to avoid that. We wanted to make it so easy for agency. Doesn't matter, don't worry that, oh, this is going to cost me this much, or if you need any consultation or if you have any questions about WordPress, what should I use, what should I not use, any client problems, building new websites, updating sites, redesigning sites, as long as it's a WordPress, you'll create that task, and that coordinator on our end will look at that task and see who's the best fit from the team and assign those hours. At the end of the day, we comment on the task. So done deal. There is no other time tracking. We don't give you monthly reports on, hey, we did, like we didn't spend hours here. Every day you get hours. So that's why we only work with serious agencies. So if you are just starting out, they may not have enough WordPress work to even keep a developer busy for a couple hours a day. I guess our minimum starts at a couple hours a day. So if you don't have enough work, then I talk about them, I stay in touch with them, but not a good fit. But most agencies that have more than 10 clients, every day you're going to have something, this broke, or let's update their own site, or let's build a new site. So then it becomes a good fit. And then it's really open. Like as long as it's WordPress, like we would help you. And because, if we limit them within WordPress, then I'll lose the fun out of it, right? Because we still want challenges. Like we don't want that, okay, this is what we know and we'll only help you with that. No, like throw stuff at us like, oh, well, I never even heard about that. Let's see, and that still happens every day. And, without that variety variety. It wouldn't be fun to do. Developers would get tired because, for a lot of the developers, that single best thing they're looking every year is to adding more skills, right? And if we just do similar things, we would have a problem with hiring or retaining our team. We have 54 team members right now, and we realized that early on, that let's keep that variety. Otherwise, people are going to get tired and they'll feel like they're not adding more skills. So we really make sure that it's all WordPress. So there's always something challenging in the WordPress. Yep.
Very cool. So where should people head? What's the URL? Is it Unlimited WP if they're interested?
Yes, that's a correct one. Yep.
And you had mentioned that you have something special for our community if they did want to get started. I think it's a first month promotion.
Yes, we love HighLevel. Anybody listening this signs up on our website on the checkout, right? Go HighLevel, and you'll get 25% off on your first month.
Awesome. Well, Ronik, thanks so much for coming on to chat with us.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks everybody for watching. If you've got WP needs, head on over to unlimitedwp.com and check it out. We'll see you in the next one.